Welcome back to another exciting episode of Cyber Defense TV. I'm your host, Gary Malefsky, and the publisher of Cyber Defense Magazine. Now, I have a very special guest sitting in the hot seat from a very cool company. Rajesh Khazanchi is the co-founder and senior vice president of ColorTokens.com. Tell us what ColorTokens does.
So ColorTokens is all about security. We offer one agent, one platform for data centers, users, applications, and your workloads.
Wait a minute. From the cloud to my intranet, you have one agent, one
platform?
That is correct.
That's correct. We believe that there are many tools in the market, and some of these are actually focusing on only networks. Some of them are focusing on the endpoint, and there are tools actually doing the vulnerability management and threat feeds. And our solution is giving you a comprehensive security across all these four layers, which is networks, users, endpoints, threat feeds, and vulnerability management.
So Rajesh, I can have a single pane of glass for all four areas?
Absolutely. Because there is one very important to understand that security cannot be measured with one particular dimension in mind. So you cannot say I'm secure or not secure with just network information. It's important to understand that what is my threat feed, what's my vulnerability, and what actually endpoint antiviruses, day zero or day one attacks are happening. Looking at it from a comprehensive way in all these four layers is very, very critical to actually understand for security and then enforce it.
So an example is I've got a vulnerable system with SMB1 protocol flaw, and I've got an employee clicking a link that's installing ransomware, WannaCry, zero-day malware, remote access Trojan, whatever. So I've got devices that have holes. I've got users that make mistakes. And then I maybe even have
networks which are connected to the applications.
Exactly.
And so it's extremely important to understand that the security for endpoints, you have solutions like antiviruses. And then now these days, a lot of solutions are coming from the detection and response point of view. So most of the solutions, you would say 5-6 years back, were primarily focusing on the prevention part, which was a signature-based scanning.
Reactive cleanup, cleanup, right?
Exactly.
Is this computer, does it have hygiene, and do I even know if it has hygiene?
Absolutely.
Whereas that's not a root cause analysis. Is it extremely vulnerable? And it hasn't been infected with something that I don't know about yet.
Exactly.
AV never really can tell you that.
So there are attacks happening which you just simply don't understand how these attacks are happening. What kind of composition is there? What kind of a strategy they are following to actually attack? Because they are state-sponsored. They're very well-organized attacks.
So a strategy might be, I'm going to send a plain text email to phish an executive or a government employee. It's going to be plain text. It's not going to be a deep phishing. It's going to just say, are you in your office right now, Bob, their friend? And then they say yes. And then they say, oh, by the way, Bob, don't forget to go to this meeting. And maybe they want them out of their office, off their computers, because they've already infected them and they want to move the mouse around to do things.
And sometimes, we get information from the CFO saying that, why don't you actually look at that particular spreadsheet? Because there's financial information about it. And it's coming from a CFO of an organization. Obviously, you'll open that, and that's where, bingo, you have a malware in your system.
So there's some social engineering, state-sponsored social engineering,
Absolutely.
And the bad guys, whether it's state or it's hacktivists or hackers or anonymous or cyber criminals, are thinking a little bit out of the box now, and they're thinking ahead of us. We don't have to worry about the misspelling emails. The phishing stuff is like, it's old news.
It's old news.
The new news is what you're saying is it's a multi-pronged attack. For example, in this attack, they open the spreadsheet. Maybe they're not going to exploit them for a week or a month. They've already got in the door. And maybe at a certain moment in time, they do covert data exfiltration and send packets and payload. Maybe an SSH tunnel that's over DNS queries. Would you detect that?
So we would detect it. We'll be able to give you a complete visibility of what it is, the east-west traffic that is happening. So for example, when as a user, you're clicking on a particular application, let's say an Excel Word document or, Acrobat Reader PDF document. And at that point in time, this connection goes back to the server application. And now you have a compromise happening there. Generally, most of the data centers, you have not a very specialized segmented networks. So the east-west traffic governance is not as much widely implemented.
In other words, because you don't have a firewall between every computer watching all the ports and apps and the TCP/IP stack, you have a lot of high risk of lateral movement.
And perimeter can do only so much. You don't have so many perimeter firewalls. You have workloads in Amazon, you have workloads in Google Compute, you have multiple data centers.
So what can ColorTokens do to solve this problem?
So we fundamentally give you the network understanding. The traffic doesn't lie. We give you first visibility of that. We also overlay information on top of it, saying that what kind of vulnerabilities are on that particular server, on that application. We also overlay on top of it your threat feed information, the new information that is collected every time on any type of new vulnerabilities.
Does this reduce false positives too? For example, if I'm
Significantly
exploiting
reduces false
SMB1, but I don't have SMB1 running, who cares?
Exactly.
But you'll know because you have the vulnerability data and the threat feed data.
Correct.
And you have the asset location information.
We have location information. We also can govern and control certain processes. If you have a specialized endpoint, we can say we are whitelisting these particular applications. Now, in some cases, that particular thing might not work. You need a complete AV and you need an EDR. We also offer that.
Really? So, did you make your own, or you've partnered with a third party?
So most of it is completely built by us. I mean, see, important thing to understand is it was very nice to see a lot of big vendors coming in with a detection response. Mm-hmm. We believed this 4 years back, and that's where our journey started. So something that you hear large vendors talking about, these detection and response, they have this multiple feed coming in, and they have a console feeding this information. Mm-hmm. Because they'll not change firewalls, they have endpoint protection solutions. Mm-hmm. Here, what we have is a fundamentally built in one agent, one security, one platform against where we are collecting this information and showing it to you.
What about updates?
The updates are, important thing to understand that this is a SaaS solution. We do have an on-prem for some of the federal requirements, but as part of the SaaS solution, you get updates free.
It's phenomenal. Now, can a small business, let's say I have 50 employees or less, can I afford you? Or
Absolutely.
Is it mainly for the big guys?
No, this is the request. You should visit the ColorTokens.com website, and you can request a demo. We'll give you some endpoints free, and then you can actually roll it up to 50 servers or something. It's absolutely affordable for small and medium as well.
That's amazing. Where do you see the future of the threat vector going, and how ColorTokens is going to evolve to stay one step ahead of it?
So the way we look at it is that prevention has taken a lot of money. There are a lot of vendors actually in the prevention, and it will continue to evolve. But detection and response is something that we truly believe it's going to. There are SOC views, there are security operations centers, network operations, extremely hard to manage, extremely difficult. They roll out so many people. They have battalion of teams actually managing it across multiple regions, geolocations, just to manage it. We believe the detection and response is going to grow. And it's not only at one particular level. You see most of the endpoint guys talking about EDR solution. Why only EDR? Why only endpoint? The network also has to play a role. Other elements also has to play a role, right? So it is essentially, I saw, one of the big vendors talking about XDR. I'm glad about that they talked about it, but they're talking about it now. We are 4 years, ahead of them. So detection and response is going to grow. And there will be a lot of focus on detection and response, not just prevention.
Yeah, the earlier you catch it, the higher probability you save the patient.
That's the most important thing.
For example, if we look at WannaCry hitting NHS, if you could have shut it off at the first PC,
if you can
it would have hit 1,400
control
computers,
exactly,
and kids couldn't get their operation for 4 days, you would have solved that.
Absolutely.
ColorTokens sounds amazing. And it's one agent, one solution.
Absolutely.
Boy, I've been looking for this because I am tired. Like you said, I'm tired of testing and running and trying. This guy missed that. This guy catches that. If I could just get a better heuristics engine here, if I just get a better traffic analysis there, if I just get a better vulnerability scanner there, you're making it all flattened down and easy for anyone to deploy.
Absolutely. I would highly encourage for users to try out, go to the ColorTokens website, request a demo, and you will see a phenomenal level of solution that gives you security across all 4 layers: your network, your endpoint, your vulnerability, and your threat.
This is phenomenal. I'm excited about this. This is a great interview. You made it through my hot seat.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I'm just followed up. Go to ColorTokens.com. He just said he's going to give you some free endpoints to try out. Test it on your own network and see if it does what we are hearing. And the promise is one endpoint, one solution. This is something we've all been looking for. And then come back next time for an exciting episode of Cyber Defense TV. Thank you.